I was smiling ear to ear because that's what you want from your team. You want to see them go to training, come back all excited.
You cannot expect to say something and expect for it to just start happening. I always try to have everything perfect, so guess what? Nothing gets done. When you have it in writing, it's in freaking writing.
We were trying to go more of the Chick-fil-A type of atmosphere. Every car gets a floor mat, every car gets a seat cover, every car gets pulled up to the customer.
The average 18-year-old doesn't want to read your binder. I'm thinking they want to watch a video on YouTube. The best way to get people to be embracing this manual is if they help write it. Welcome to the Garage Grit Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Hurlock, co-owner of AA Shop Marketing, a digital marketing company for auto repair shops. And today we have another great panel. I come across so many shops who they're doing the right things, but it's just them. And the moment that a fire happens, it needs to be them. And there's no repetition, no ability to actually duplicate. And right away, my mind goes to, okay, what do you have written down? What is repeatable? What is not repeatable? And trying to analyze that. It's the concept of working on your business instead of in your business. And we've had that podcast conversation before, but this one we're going to be more specific. We're going to be talking about documenting your processes and maybe even more specifically where to begin if you haven't done that at all. But before we actually talk about that at length, I'd like to introduce to you the guests that we have today. I think each one is going to provide valuable insight. And so, Julio, why don't you give us a quick introduction for yourself? Tell us a little bit about your shop. Tell us a little bit of your quick backstory. Take a minute or two. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll try to be quick. So my name is Julio Dard. I'm down in Florida. I own two shops, one in Boca Raton, one in Davie, which is close to Fort Lauderdale. I own them both with my dad. My dad and myself were partners, but I pretty much run the business. My dad is not an operating or acting partner of the equation. The sizes of my shops, we operate a 9-bay and a 7-bay. We are gonna be hopefully hitting 2.9 million this year.
Congratulations. Nice. All right, perfect. Jared, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm second generation. I'm in Pennsylvania. I have one shop in Sourton and a second location in Hardersville. They're about 4 to 5 miles apart from each other. I grew up in the business. I was in 4th grade, grew up with my parents, and I was able to work with my parents, which was a blessing. Tough at times, but a blessing, even now I'm older. But then my wife and I, we purchased the business from my parents in 2012. And at that time, I knew that I didn't want to be a service advisor. So that's, getting into the procedures and processes. I started when I would run into a problem, I would start writing my procedures down at that point. But I love what I do. I always wanted to be the best. So I would continue to go to training and educate. And it's kind of brought me where I am today. I saw an opportunity to grow, and we purchased a second location. And so here we are. And
how long ago did you purchase that second location?
Second location was 3.5 years ago.
All right.
Almost 4. April will be 4 years. So
okay. All right. Nice.
Julio,
Dale, tell us about you.
I'll tell you a little bit about me real quick. Julio, was yours 2.9 million? Was that for 2 shops?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then Jared, what are you at for?
We should be right around 3. Let me see. 3.3 to 3.5, just depends on how we finish out. But yeah, for both shops.
Both shops. Okay. My name's Dale Donovan. I'm from Donovan's Auto and Tire Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm like Jared. I grew up in the business. My father worked for Firestone, and he went around opening up Firestone stores for them. He was out of town, and he said the next time they moved me to Cincinnati to open up a store, I'm going to open one up. And that's what he did. So I'm the youngest of 8. I was a partner with my brother, who's the oldest of 8. So we were partners for many years, and we had one location, and we had 2 bays. I took that 2 bays from 2 to 4 bays, and we were landlocked. I moved it to another location, went from 4 bays to basically, it was 7, then we turned it into 9 bays. So I went from 4 to 9, then opened up an oil change shop right across the street, and few years later, I ended up opening up another shop, bought one from an individual, and that's where I am now. So basically what I'm going to talk about is the shop that I'm at now.
Good.
It's my shop, and it's just one shop. And I've grown it. When I first bought it from this gentleman, he was doing just about $900,000, and this year we'll do $3.5 million.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Nice. Interesting that the size of the shops are relatively similar, but the population footprint for each of you is rather different, right? I mean, Jared, you're in the most rural of the three. And Julio, I think you actually are the middle one, right? I think Cincinnati has, over 300,000 people. And so, I mean, we can scale down to more specifically your immediate footprint to figure out the population density. But all in all, it kind of gives you a feel for, this group is talking from a range of experiences. And so with that, let's actually dig in. Jared, you said something interesting. You started by figuring out, when you started to document your processes, when you knew that you didn't want to be a service advisor indefinitely, whenever you came down to a challenging situation was where you started.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the whole shop at first. It was just kind of like a piecemeal set of documents of, okay, how am I going to conquer this?
Exactly. I mean, how do you start? I mean, to create a complete manual, you can't just sit down and do it. So how I did, and again, being a small business owner and working in the business, it was hard. So I started whenever I had a failure, or I should say a setback, or a problem with a customer. How did this go? What can I do differently so this doesn't happen? So then that's how this is how I want to do that. And again, over the years, I've modified, I've changed things, but that's how I started. And it kept growing and growing. And there were once I did get a service advisor and I had some time, I would sit in my office and I would create more documents. And that's what I have today. And this is my binder. I have it all printed out. Everybody that comes here, whether it's a little different for a service advisor and a technician, but they get that on their first day. We sit down, we go through it. We do have it digitally, but to me, I like the paper, and I like them to have that so they can reference it. It talks about how we do our digital vehicle inspection. What do we expect out of that? How do we do our services that we do? This is what I want because I'm looking for consistency across my stores and locations. Now, having it written down and getting them to do that is a different thing. It doesn't always happen that way, but correction needs to happen continually in anything. Nobody's perfect, but that's how I did it. That's where it started and where it's evolved for today.
And you started that process before 2012.
No, I bought the business in 2012, so it would have been after that. So
okay.
I would say really started right about that time.
Yeah, I'm picturing a collection of Word documents of various topics all over the place that's disorganized. And so eventually you had to then take a step of actually put this in order, whatever
Correct.
That looked like.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And one more point there. Being a part of ShopFix, one of my guys in my tribe, he started talking about Trello. I don't know if anybody else has dealt with Trello. I haven't done a whole lot with my wife's added our documents. So this Trello is a place that you can put all your documents. So as your people need it, and they ask me for things, did you look in Trello first? Did you look in Trello first? Trying to get them to remind them to look there so that it becomes muscle memory, that's where we're putting our documents and updating things, and they can just look there to find it.
Yeah. Well, you said that you like paper, and I get that. But now I'm going to, call you out on your average age a little bit, right? Now, think about the average age of the people that are going to be looking at these binders. Well, why don't we just say that? What's the average age of the employees that you have? Can you just kind of pass that around? Jared, and then Julio, and then Dale.
I would say with our oldest to youngest, we're right in the middle there. We're probably like 35-ish.
Okay. Julio?
I'm probably right around 30, 35. Sounds about right to me too.
And Dale?
Yeah, probably similar, maybe 38. I have a lead tech. I have a lead tech that's older that he says he's going to give me one more year, and that's debatable. I'll see if I let him walk or not. But Jared, you bring up a great idea, and I think Brad's got. Are you saying Trello? How do you spell that? How do you spell what you're?
Trello, Trello. So
that's a place where you put all your documents.
Correct. Yep.
You put all your documentation.
You can list everything by category. They go in, they hit the search, they search it, it comes up, and then they can look through where it is. And like I said, my wife she's the one who started taking our paper documents or our other documents and loading them on there. And we just talked about that the other day, where we need to do a better job and organize that better. So just so you know, I'm not using that completely yet. We're transitioning to that, but it makes the most sense because, like you said, Brad, you can go anywhere on any computer we have here, look it up, and they can find it. And
I'm going to push back even further. I mean, I don't know what options Trello has, but like there's other programs that are out there like waywedo.com,
Okay.
waywedo.com. There's also scribe.com, where you can kind of upload your maybe you're really you're an awful writer. You can actually upload your broken down fragments of sentences and it'll actually put it together for you. Right.
Sure.
But I'll give you another one that's completely different. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking the average 18-year-old doesn't want to read your binder. I'm thinking they want to watch a video on YouTube.
Right.
So why not have a private YouTube channel that actually has all of these videos?
So what I do use Loom a lot.
Loom's good.
For
Yeah.
internal procedures with my bookkeeper, for certain procedures with advisors. I recorded Loom videos for technicians as far as putting up an estimate on Techmetric.
Mm-hmm. And Loom, just so that people know, if you haven't heard of it, Loom is a video platform for the purposes of training or marketing videos, whatever. They're specifically you record the videos,
Print.
and then there's a library of those videos.
And then my documents, I just plain and simple, I have them on Google Drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to reorganize it, but I've just been slowly sharing certain documents with the right people. But my next step is just creating a GPT on ChatGPT. You upload everything, and then it just can be. I don't know if Trello has AI. I'm assuming all of these platforms nowadays have AI, so they can just ask questions. They just get the answer right away.
Now, I'll push back a little bit on the ChatGPT, not specifically ChatGPT. I mean, Perplexity AI, Grok, all of them. They all have. They're all researching. When you ask for information, they're all researching all that they can see, and then bringing it back to you. And sometimes as a result, they get it wrong. So it's important that you don't just spit it into the AI and trust the output. You need to read it through it, but that'll still save you a ton of time from having to write it from scratch, right? You still need to read through it and kind of audit it.
If you're creating something with ChatGPT, yes. But if you're just uploading your documents and you're creating a specific GPT,
Correct.
just saying,
If you're telling it, just use this as the source.
Exactly.
That's
and
right.
I'm assuming you can do it with Gemini or whatever. If you're in Microsoft or Gemini, the issue is I'm going to have to upgrade the subscription that I have. So I might as well just upgrade the subscription that I use with ChatGPT, which is, I feel it has more resources. But that's my next step as far as making processes and procedures available to my team as fast as possible and as adapted to this day and age.
Nice.
Julio, do you have the free version of ChatGPT, or did you?
No. I have the paid version because otherwise you cannot create GPTs and your information cannot be like secure or private. So yeah, I use the paid version.
Okay, I was just curious. And I think, Brad, I don't know if I want to go there, but I think you're bringing up a great point as far as bringing the ages up. And because, what are these? Everybody nowadays puts everything on their iPhone, right? Or their phones. And so that's where the access has to go, I think, because in the future, that's where it's going to go is on their tablet or their phone or someplace where they can go and access it. And I think, Brad, that you're probably going to, you've mentioned a bunch of sites already that I think that, this is going to get easier to do these things. I love the idea of YouTube. So doing a little video, I just think that, that's what kids love, right? Is to go on the YouTube. And so do you actually have some procedures that you do is on YouTube?
For us, no, we don't. But now keep in mind, we're a digital marketing company. And we use a platform called ClickUp. And inside of ClickUp, we have a ton of videos for our team as far as how to do what to do. And ClickUp is also where we're keeping track of all the different tasks. So now it's really easy for them to get an assignment. And now they know, okay, oh, wait, how do I do this assignment? I need to refresh the correct way to do this assignment. Well, that's it's linked, the video that's there, right? It's connected. So it's a platform that's more for, well, it's similar to Trello in that regard, Jared. But it's, so that's us. But yeah, I mean, YouTube's you can set up a private channel on YouTube. And I'm also thinking, and this is, forgive me, I don't own a shop. Let me be transparent about that. So you tell me if this is a good or a bad idea. But I'm thinking that the best way to get people to be embracing this manual is if they helped write it. And so if you gave them 3 pages and said, go do this activity and I'm going to video you and you're going to be in my video manual, they might have, and they might even want to contribute to the insight of it while they're doing it, right? If it's a front desk person, well, here's how I handle this personally. I like to see how many times they blink. I don't know, like, or whether or not they're smiling when they come in, how to make them smile when they first, so that they feel welcomed, whatever you tell me. Right. So, you could allow them to actually even add to that. Is that possible? Is that realistic to have your team
and
act out the parts?
Anything that helps you get buy-in from people, it's better. And there's no better procedure than the one that is made out of. In an example that I'll give you in my shop, one of my shops, we came out with an inspection procedure to get. That's one of the best procedures that we've ever come with, because you get the buy-in directly, right? Is one, I would say, is one of the ones that we have more back and forth as far as how we want it done or how different each person does it, depending on their prior experience. So when you get those meetings, when you get a policy that is made out between all of your team, it's the best outcome. Just not all of them can be done like that, right? There's not
Fair enough. Well, I don't know. I mean, we're not trying to write this entire document tomorrow.
Right.
Like, what if you just did manual Mondays at 3:30 p.m. for 30 minutes, and everyone, I don't know. You come up with a schedule for the next 52 chapters, and now you've got manual Mondays.
So just to speak on that a little bit. So for us, close to us was Super Saturday this past Saturday. I was away. I couldn't make it with my advisor.
Hold on, Jared. So Julio and Dale are not from this part of the country. So why don't you tell a little bit about Super Saturday?
I'm part of Mid-Atlantic Auto Care Association, and the people who run it in our area, they've been, even though we haven't been a part of Milwaukee for all these years, there's been some Saturday event. It's training event. They bring best trainers in, whether it's advisor training, management training, technician training. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I've been going to one with my dad, different organizations and things like that. But it's a great event, great networking. But from that,
what name the organization that puts it on? Mid-Atlantic
Auto Care Association. It's MAACA.
Okay.
So they're associated with the I forget what the mother company is. They started out. They're out where Vision is. They're the ones that put on Vision. So they kind of migrated throughout the country, and they have a great organization. So I kind of just debriefed the team on Monday when I came in. They came here, and my lead advisor, he was revved up. I mean, it was just, I was smiling ear to ear, because that's what you want from your team. You want to see them go to training, come back all excited. And so we came from that. And he's like, I have some things that I really want to change up as far as our phone script. When we call customers, and I was like, great, write some stuff down. So tomorrow we're having an early meeting before work. And I said, bring your stuff. We're all going to sit down. We're going to hash it out. Because like you said, getting the buy-in, having them help create that and listening to them, it's going to make it easier, because it's partially what they thought of it. And he's revved up. And I just talked to my wife today. I said, this is what we're looking for. You need that buy-in. And I'm very excited for that. So we will be changing our phone script, I believe, here shortly, and how we talk with people, setting that expectation from the first phone call and carrying that through the whole process. Key process. So looking forward to that.
And, get out your iPhone and then record it on video. And now you've got a video recording of, Anyway.
Good stuff.
Hey, let me cut in real quick. Are you wondering what your next marketing step is? Well, you don't have to figure it out on your own. The entire premise of this show is that we're trying to help repair shop owners. And in that same spirit of helping first, I will give you your next actionable step that's going to boost sales and boost that car count in your shop. To find out more, go to aashopmarketing.com/help or click in the link in the show notes below. Now, back to the episode. Everyone's nodding their heads. What are your thoughts? What Is manual Monday an actual thing? Or Mondays are sometimes bad for many shops, but like in the afternoon, can you? Maybe it's not Monday, maybe it's a different day of the week, right? But is there a particular 30-minute window where everybody can be working on this?
For us, it's before hours. I just found it too hard to pull all my advisors together during the workday. It just doesn't work. So I've asked them if they come in early. They're good with that. I buy some breakfast sandwiches and things like that. We have stuff to drink and eat, and it's not long. We try and keep it quick and get everybody back to work, but it's important.
So we do something very similar every Tuesday. We open up here at 7:30. So they have a meeting from 6:30 to 7:30 every Tuesday morning. And I really thought, so again, that goes back to me. One of my problems was, right, I don't want to enact something, or I don't want to do something until it's perfect. You end up not doing it because it's never perfect. So my son just started doing it and he said, Dad, I'm going to start having meetings every Tuesday morning. And just like you said, Jared, it's unbelievable. It just makes a huge difference. It just gets everybody on the same bus. It just gets everybody aligned, and to reiterate everything that we're trying to do, it just gets them all on the same path and says, no, this is how we got to do it. Remember, we talked about this, and just to keep everybody aligned. And just like you said, Jared, they get fired up. They get emotional. I mean, I was telling Brad last Tuesday, I wasn't able to make the meeting, but I have cameras all over this place. And I was watching the meeting and I'm like, ooh, looks like it's getting intense. And it got intense, but my son called me after the meeting and said, I go, was that intense? He goes, oh yeah, it got intense, but he made the point. He goes, Dad, if it wasn't intense, then that means they don't care, and they do care. And so they just want to make things better. So I think it's a huge key is the meetings at least once a week is a huge key.
Okay. All right. So, Jared, you said about where to start. It's whatever challenges you come up, and then that's your red flag. Let's just go and tackle that. And then eventually you've got a bunch of documents you've got to organize. And as Julio said, you throw that into GGP and say organize. But if you is there another way to do it? Should we just? I heard someone tell me that they actually would recommend starting with the customer interaction, the first place that the customer connects with you, and then just start documenting. And again, you don't have to go through the entire process all in one day. You spend so much time per week or whatnot, and you just document, okay, here's what's happened. Here's what we expect to happen. Here's what we need to change going forward. Julio, how did you start when you started doing your document?
So I was kind of like Dale. I was, I always try to have everything perfect. So guess what? Nothing gets done. Right?
Yeah.
My first set of policies, I wrote down one day I said, I'm just not going to go to work. I'm going to stay at my house. And I just sat down, just started writing down. At that point, we didn't have AI. So it was just a lot of writing. And I started with the key processes, right? Like the workflow process, how things move along the different steps of your shop. We started with that. We started with our vehicle inspection policy. We started with customer intake. We started with phone scripts. I like to hone in a lot on phone scripts. I try to break it down to 6 or 7 different type of calls you get in our repair shop. They're not that different. They seem different, but they're all the same. So I broke that down. That's where I started. And then, yes, I did hit a plateau where they were probably there. They were not looked at. But then slowly I started just bringing them back and policing them, doing meetings and reminding them to the team. And I do have like a parallel process, like Jared said. Like when I have a problem, it usually ends up in a new policy, right? Like there's a certain process or a certain scenario that you did not contemplate before, and you realize that you have to put it in place. And that's also another good thing or a good way of doing it.
Also paying attention to things that are just obviously repeaters. Either a lot of shops have what to do when a salesperson calls, or already dialed in as a documented process, or they're just doing it every time. Because I get people tell me all the time, "Oh, he's on a test drive," and I doubt that that's always the case. There's no way that you're all on a test drive every single time I call. But there's a repeating thing, right? How to handle salespeople. But anyway, in all seriousness, though, so you developed those phone scripts, or did you actually have your service advisors kind of weigh in on what those? And let me back up. Do you have customer service people and service advisors, or just service advisors?
In my case, I only have service advisors.
Okay.
And I pretty much generated them all, but of course, it's due to a lot of training and shop fix and stuff that we see.
Got it.
And at some point, something that happened to me is when I started going to shop fix, which, I mean, it has helped me a lot, a ton with my success. But at some point, I realized that I was kind of trying to do everything exactly the same as shop fix. And at some point, you got to understand that you also have to have your own personality or culture as a shop, and you got to understand where you are. Just, this is how we do it at TuneRight. Yes, we take things from everybody. That's also something that I struggle. At some point, I wanted to be like, just implement. Just listen to the people that have been there before. That's absolutely great. You just need to understand that there's things that are not going to be exactly the same, and make peace with that. Because if not, you're going to end up having also some processes that you put in place, but at the end, they just don't fit either your culture or your shop, or even the way your building is, whatever it is. So making peace with that was also something that I had to realize at some point.
That makes sense.
It does make sense. It's awesome.
Dale, now that you mentioned that you had different shops, and then you have the one that you're currently at, and that's the one you're going to be focused on. But did you create processes for the other two before you sold them?
Yeah, when I first took over the business, and it's kind of funny is, I'm 15 years younger than my oldest brother, who was the president of the company. So I came back from a 20 group meeting, and I looked at him and I said, listen, you're going to stay on the counter, and I'm going to go in that office, and I'm going to work on the business. And he was smart enough to know that, I was trying to grow the business, and I was so that's what I did. Same thing that probably Julio and Jared did as well. I went in that office and I start writing down all of the procedures and policies, and, got a handbook together and got all of that done. And it was all, handwritten. And then I had my office manager redo it. But it's just like, I think, Brad, you said it. It's like, when was the last time they opened it? Right? It's the last time they opened it. And I think that there's more modern ways to do it now. And I can take that and put it into a form that they can get on their phones and get to it, stuff like that. So I think it's a big thing. I mean, I kind of wrote down a few things. It's like, what got me where I am today? And definitely you guys are already part of it. And a lot of people listening to this podcast are on 20 groups. If you're not in a 20 group, I highly recommend, and I'm just, again, Brad, we were talking a little bit before we started, and I enjoy helping people. I enjoy helping other shops. That's how I got where I am. Other people helped me. I would take from them, I'd come back and I'd implement it, stuff like that. I'm going to kind of get off topic, but in a sense, I'm just trying to help people. Are you, Julio and Jared, are you both on TechMetric?
I am, yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so you're both on TechMetric. So that's another huge thing. I think that the right software for your company, and I think that software is going to be the best, if not already the best. One of the things that I did, and I'm trying to say, to try and help people out is, obviously the right people. If you don't have the right people, you got to keep looking. One of the things that I do here is I have a parts manager. Do any of you have a parts manager?
I've had in the past. I do not have one.
Yeah, we don't have one. It's something. It's there. Thinking about it.
So when I hired a parts manager, it was a game changer. So what happens is I have 3 service writers. All right. So everybody wrote it a little bit different every time. Something got written different, right? Now I have a parts manager who looks up everything. He writes all the tickets. Everything is consistently written the same way every single time. So, and he gets the parts faster. He gets the parts to the guys faster. And that to me has been a huge game changer. My parts GP went up because one guy wasn't pricing it, right? So you think about it, what does it take out of your service writer? So someone comes in, I have a female service writer and 2 male service writers. So someone comes in and, he's kind of nice to the young lady and, gives her a compliment and she really likes him. Well, she's got some emotion involved in that now, right? I mean, I think I'll give him a little bit of a break. He's a nice guy, so I'll give him a break.
Right.
Where a parts manager, he's got no involvement. He's got no attachment. He didn't see the guy. He didn't talk to the guy. Right.
Okay, so your parts manager is absolutely disconnected from the customer. And so the service, do you call them service writers or service advisors? And
service advisors, writers.
And so now they're just advising based on the quote or the ticket that was given to them.
Correct.
Okay. And of course, also the ticket as well as the DVI, right? That I'm assuming that everyone here is doing DVIs.
100%.
Yep. Right. And so he's not coming up with the plan. He's just delivering the plan, or she is just
Correct.
delivering the plan. Okay.
So he writes it all up and then he marks it ready to sell. The service writer sees it. They go over it, make sure that all of their demands were met. The reason they brought them in, made sure the first things like I brought it in for an oil change, brake check, whatever, and make sure those are addressed. Then we have our digital vehicle inspection that we go over, and they sell it that way. So I mean, to me that has been an absolute game changer. So it's something that you want to look into, and so I want to take it to the next level because you guys have 2 locations. I'm currently at 1 location right now, but I have my son and my nephew own the other ones. But you can literally take a parts manager and have him in a room, and let's say you've got 1 location and he needs help. The guy goes, "Hey man, I'm backed up. Can you write up this brake job?" He can. He can write it up from the parts room for another location. Okay, so I haven't. Do you understand what I'm saying, Brad?
Yeah, I do. And I'm wondering if you could have one parts guy for both locations as opposed to one parts guy for both one for each.
I've known people that have done that, and yeah, it could definitely work. The only opinion or the only thing that I've learned about having or not having a parts manager is, as shop owners, we're always battling our overhead, right? Trying to keep it as low as possible, and we try. At least in my tribe, we try to look at the people that are within our business as revenue generating or non-revenue generating, right? That's like the debate that you have, like a parts manager. Yes, it's somebody that brings efficiency, brings consistency, increases the GP on the parts, but it's not a direct generator of revenue, right? It's not a technician that is ranging. It's not an advisor that can sell and can increase. So it's just navigating that decision.
Well, hold on. I mean, is the GP is higher than the cost of that salary, then it's a no-brainer. So if you're a $500,000 shop, no, don't have a separate parts manager, right? But if you're a $3 million shop, and I don't know the answer to that, how much does your GP go up? Dale, can you speak to that? How much does your GP go up?
He probably raised my GP. Oh yeah, he probably raised my GP on parts at least 5%. Okay. And, Julio, my accountant, talked me out of this for years. He's like, "You're taking a non-producer. He's not producing, blah, blah, blah." And I finally said, "I'm doing it." And it's been a game changer. This is the highest GP I've ever had. And the
GP is offset that salary.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And then some. Okay.
Yeah. And just to chime in, that makes total sense. I mean, and that's kind of where I'm at. Learning this from ShopFix. If you get that guy and he's not only creating some things, but he's shopping your parts. So yeah, you create an estimate, you sell it, they buy it, and then that guy goes and shops parts, or he just calls that vendor and says, "Hey," beats him up on price, and you're keeping your margin here, and you're getting it for a better cost. Yeah, it does make sense. So yeah, I do believe in it, and again, it's just something you have to watch your numbers. It does have to make sense, and it does have to work. But yeah, I could see that working. Now, Dale, just to kind of chime in there, one of the things I've started doing is, as I'm hiring guys, I'm starting to pay them flat rate and having the technicians create their own estimates. So that's one of the things we're starting to do, because they are, and again, if it gets difficult, they pass it on to the service advisor, but they're doing the simple estimates, getting it on there, listing all the parts that they need, because they know the parts they need specifically, whereas sometimes the parts people, they're not familiar with the job. They don't know what all they need. So again, efficiency on that side where they're getting everything they need. Parts come in, they're the right parts, they're not the wrong parts. And then that parts person can shop parts then as well. So there's a combination of ways to go. But great idea.
Returns, making sure you're getting your core, you're getting your returns. Yeah. I mean, so I know several people that have done it your way, Jared, where you let the technician work on the write up the estimates, and it's kind of like talking Julio into having a parts guy. I mean, what's a technician good at? Working on cars. That's where they make their money. So when you have them stop and write easy ones, they shouldn't be easy ones. They should be digital vehicle inspections, and they should be recommending some other recommendations and stuff like that. So, I think that in my eyes, the technician's best at working in cars, and that's what I want him to focus on. If he looks at the car, does everything on it, get the car out of here. Get it out of here. Let me have it written up. You get the next one in. Now you've got to be a business.
But how is your parts manager solving the problem that Jared is speaking to? And eventually we're going to get back to documenting these processes. But how do you make sure that the parts manager is getting the exact pieces and parts that are needed for that particular repair?
So when they write up,
are you completely reliant on TechMetric?
When the technician writes up the ticket, and when he says, I need spark plugs. So what would happen is this took a few meetings, right? And it's basically like, okay, well, where's my plenum gasket? And you know what the parts manager said? Where's it on the ticket? You didn't ask for it. You just said spark plugs. So they have to document what they need. I need front brake pads, front brake rotors, front hoses. I need spark plugs, intake manifold gasket. They tell them what they need. They're the technicians. They're the ones that know it, right? And, the parts guy doesn't know that it needs a plenum gasket. Some will, they know, and because they've done so many of them. But, we make sure that they fill them out. And the key to that, Jared and Julio, is when you get these guys to fill those out, then you can do it long distance. You can do it for other shops if they're filling it out. Don't forget, they're also taking pictures. They're taking pictures of everything. And, so they're doing it. It's not perfect, but I'm just telling you, it's one of the best things that I've done that has helped me in business.
I'm curious about the parts manager, and I know we're kind of going down a different rabbit hole right now, but I'm wondering if, especially since I'm thinking about you said about the pictures, right? The videos from the DVI, and my mind went to a senior diag guy, a level A technician whose back is done, and now he needs to keep working. He might be your perfect parts guy.
Yes.
This isn't an entry level position necessarily. This is somebody that actually can see that your technician actually did not write the ticket up correctly because of his own or her own experience in the industry for as many years. I guess there's not too many 55-year-old female technicians yet, but maybe one day. But right now, those jobs are men, and so
but
must be transparent.
It would have to. I can't see that pay scale. So if he's making a ton of money as a technician, he's not.
That's a good point.
So again, because that would blow your GP out there. It's really not a high paying.
That's interesting. What are your? How about you, Julio? You want to weigh in on the pay scale of trying to bring in a senior technician into that job?
That would be beautiful, right? Like if you can have, it's like when you have a service advisors that have been technicians in the past. Yes, they fill in the blanks. They get that plenum gasket when the technician doesn't request it. Right, but it's just like Dale says, like the technician is the technician. The technician should be providing all the technicalities and all the technical information that you need, so that an estimate gets billed properly. And don't get me wrong, I do think that the parts. I'll give you an example. I did have a parts manager for about 3 months, but then what I saw that happen is that it didn't promote my advisors at that point. Probably a lack of leadership. Right, we're all in this growing process. It didn't make my advisors grow and pick up the slack and create more sales so that we can absorb the overhead of having a parts manager and just keep growing. That just didn't happen. It was a very good 3-month strike, and then we went back to where we could not.
All right. So let's actually do a diag on what went wrong with those 3 months. So let's start with: did you have processes written down for each of their activities and what their job was going to look like? Was there a detailed job description? And I'm sorry if it feels like I'm calling you out. I'm not.
No,
I don't. Let's
Not at all.
just look at what's going on and
I would say
explore it.
it's like a way more profound answer because it was like a previous crew. He was a manager that was with me for 6 years throughout like all this growing that I've been through by going through ShopFix and networking and everything that I've done. He just didn't grow at the same pace. He just didn't want to make changes. So, okay, yeah, it was great. Now you got a parts manager. Your life gets a little bit easier. What are we going to do with that time? We're implementing all these things on the side, right? You need to keep your people accountable. Are we doing callbacks? Are we understanding that now we added this person to the team? We need to keep a certain level of sales. The commitment was not there. So, like, at that point, I just had to pull the plug. It was more like a whole manager situation that have been growing up for 6 years. So, and that's pretty much the answer to that.
So would you be willing to try it again if you had, I mean, if you tried it again, would you take from those experiences and write down what went wrong, what went well, and try to come up with a better framework to have a higher success rate?
100%. 100%. I would try it again. Right now, I'm at the point of just having more salespeople, to have like having more advisors to handle the sales, which is gonna increase my ability of bringing more sales and give more time to each salesperson to take care of their own parts on their own and keep things organized. I do have a very detailed parts process documented, course returns and all that. I have tables, and we put a lot of emphasis on that not getting out of control. But that way I can have more salespeople that can keep the sales where they need to be. But yeah, I would definitely consider. Probably when I'm at a different level, when I don't know, hitting 200,000 months or 250, going to a next level. Right now, the route that I'm taking is just increasing my sales capacity so that each of them can add more to the top line revenue and take care of their own parts.
Okay. All right. I noticed a couple different times, Jared, you were jotting down some ideas and notes after, from other, like, what's the last one you wrote down?
I wrote down Julio's phone number.
Okay.
That was the last thing I wrote.
That's perfect. All right. Yeah. So when you're on one of these podcasts and these panels, the goal again is to help each other out, right? And so we shared everyone's cell phone number in the studio chat, and since you're not on the panel right now, you don't get to see that. But maybe going forward, you'll be wanting to join a panel. I already have my panelists lined up for the December conversation, and I think that's going to be interesting. It's going to be the connection or the relationship between your investment in your front of shop and the investment in marketing. Because I had and I'll probably tell this story again. I one of the clients that I've worked with, we were watching his numbers just go up and up and up, and as far as his call volumes, as far as the number of calls coming into him, as far as the visibility, as far as all of our KPIs were on the rise, but he kept telling us that his revenue was not going up. And then he rebooted his front of house. And in the very next month, he got to realize the last 9 months of work. And so, I'm now going to have to go back and ask him, and I haven't yet, but does he have all of those with that new person, does he have all of those processes written down so that person is duplicatable? God forbid they leave tomorrow to go do something else, and then we're back where we were several months ago. That would be a shame. So, back to documenting your processes. Julio, you said you have phone scripts for everybody. I've been given my share of phone scripts from people and saying, okay, read this. And it's awkward. And you kind of have to put on your own hat or your own shirt, whatever your expression might be, for that particular phone script. But did you find that you had to allow your service advisors to say, no, I can't say that feels awkward? Or
I do have advisors that they have, of course, resistance to using phone scripts. But the way I handle it is in two ways. First of all, it's not mandatory to use the same exact words, right? It's just use the same talking points and the same concepts that we want to communicate through the scripts. But one thing that I tell them is give it a chance so that you eliminate your decision fatigue. If every time you're going on a call, you're thinking of a way of making it look like yourself and trying to say the same thing, but on a different way, it just gets hard. It gets hard. One thing too that is valid about phone scripts is also to, again, eliminate decision fatigue. When it's 4 p.m., you're having a bad day, whatever, and you're trying to, let me try to touch on all the talking points that are like laid down on the script. And you start trying to winging it, you're winging it, and people can feel that. So use it as a decision fatigue elimination tool. A good example to touch on that is callbacks. If you're really doing callbacks and you're sitting down and you're calling 20 people, hey, we just want to check how your vehicle is and how's it been going? Okay, cool, fine. Well, we just wanted to let you know last time we realized that you declined some repairs. Have you thought about getting those done with us? We're offering a 10% off labor if you come and you make an appointment today, this month. Make that call 20 times.
Right.
And it's draining. It's mentally draining to try to say the same message. So if you use the phone scripts to eliminate decision fatigue, I think it's one of the key points that people are missing, and they think that we're trying to just not let them be themselves. No,
Yes.
it's efficiency.
It is. But and if they read the script 15 times in a row, by the 15th time, they might sound like a robot or AI based voice. I've actually been guilty of this. Like, I'll make a bunch of calls in a row, and I actually had somebody one time, like, they swore and they said, blah, blah, AI callers, and on the phone. And I'm like, no, it's actually a person. But I obviously was too much into the rhythm of saying the same thing over and over again. And that's not necessarily the words that you're using as much as it is the inflection. And so I wonder if in your processes, do you actually have down that you better be smiling when you're making these calls?
Yeah.
Because you can do this experiment. If you've never tried this, go record yourself with a frown on your face versus when you're smiling, and then record yourself standing up versus sitting down. Put your feet back up on the desk and hear how you sound. You sound completely different with your body language, depending on what position you're at. So, me being someone who's kind of in the, I'm a little bit more familiar with the personality or the interpersonal skills of that. I imagine some people complain about the price, and they're probably getting upset with the service advisor. In your documents, do you actually have how they need to react to that?
I haven't gotten that far.
Well, I mean, you could drill down that deep. You don't have to start there, but that could be how you advance it, because this is an ongoing activity, right? We're not going to write these documents and be done with it, but you could actually have either coaching or just some documents or tips as far as how they can actually respond. Because if you match that same aggression, it's not going to go well.
No.
Yeah.
But that is our default, isn't it? So, Dale, we were chatting about the whether or not hiring that retiring A-level tech would be affordable in a parts position.
Yes.
No, so your answer is yes. Pay them the same that you were paying them. Don't decrease their pay. Pay them the same. It's still worthwhile.
Yeah, you can decrease their pay. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to retire. They're going to go drive a parts truck, whatever. You can decrease their pay, okay? Because they're not working on cars. We're trying to fill a void, and it's, you can limit the amount of time, right? I mean, you're busy in the morning, but at 4:00, typically you're not writing a couple $1,000s at 4:00, but you are. But you can definitely,
So you're not going to push somebody into retirement in this approach, right? You're not going to talk them into quitting working on cars. It's a matter of when they're ready to retire and they don't know what's next. Maybe this is next. That makes more sense.
Without
Jared, that probably answers your concern.
Yes.
Without yelling it. That's what my parts manager.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you a question, Del. Because of the way you described it, I think they're not only a parts manager, they also write out the estimates.
Yes.
Like they put the labors, they put the parts, So it's
The whole thing.
more than
the whole
a parts
thing.
manager.
Right.
They
Yeah.
write it all up.
Almost a service advisor, just not talking to the customer.
Exactly. So what's that do? That opens up the field for you guys are kind of talking about attitudes, right? And people walking into the shop. So now that service writer, he's not in the middle of freaking writing a ticket, and all of a sudden the customer walks in and he's like, oh, close this ticket up. You know, yes, can I help you? You know, they put a smile on their face and now they're helping you. You know, where this guy's not getting disturbed, right? So he's writing tickets all day long. As the customer walks in, they're like, oh, yes, can I help you? You know, if I've got two people on the phone and someone's still waiting, if not, someone always acknowledges them, always acknowledge. So, I mean, we were trying to go more of the Chick-fil-A type of atmosphere. Every car gets a floor mat. Every car gets a seat cover. Every car gets pulled up to the customer. We pull up every car. That way they're not walking out there. Where's my car? Going to move this car. Going to do this. Got to do that. We do all of that. So we want the path of least resistance. And that's what everybody in your shop's going to do, right? Path of least resistance. That's what they want to do. So that's why, you know, when they're writing up a ticket, you know, and it could be a big ticket, it could be an engine job, whatever. And all of a sudden a customer walks in, you know, they kind of sometimes would get upset and stuff like that. And that eliminates some of that problem as well.
Right.
And, you know,
or they'll do this, right? They'll do this. They'll say, wait one moment.
mm-hmm.
And then they finish up the work, right? And so,
Yes.
and
Hoping
so
that
you've actually
someone
solved
else,
that issue. So,
hoping another service.
well, Julio, that's why I asked you earlier, do you have a service advisor or a CSR, right? And I was just giving another name for that front desk person.
Yeah.
But they're truly just a front desk person at that point. And, you know, there's nobody calling or coming in at that particular moment. Well, maybe you've got a marketing problem, or maybe it's time for them to do outbound marketing and do the callbacks, Julio, that you mentioned, or the text messages, right? If people don't want to be called, they want to be texted. That's fine. I think personalized text messages win the day tenfold compared to text message blasts.
Yeah, which could be like a process of the call. That person doesn't pick up, you just leave a voicemail, text something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, don't leave me a voicemail. Please just text me. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, that's a lot of people's attitude, right? Is that they don't want to have to, you know, it's faster for them just to get that on a text than it is a voicemail. But
One of the
really where I was
things-
going, Julio, was just to start out by text messaging them potentially. Like back to instead of a mass text message that says, hey, you haven't been here in 6 months, why don't you come on back in? You could potentially reach out to them. And, you know, by just a one-off text message, it says, we haven't looked at your Jeep in 4 months. Based on your prior driving, is it time? Did anything change? Come on in. Like, if you do more personalized, you can make it, the better, right? And so, I'm sorry, we're getting ahead and away from ourselves as far as talking about documenting these processes, but I guess not, because we could make sure that all of this is in writing and communicated to your team members.
I do have something to, if you want to take us back on track, I do have something that I wrote down when somebody was talking, and one of the things that has helped me a lot with processes, I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that when you verbally say how something gets done, I don't know if any of your employees have done, but the other day you told me this, or the other day you told me that, or it has happened from me from shop to shop. If at some point we're not completely coherent with how we think things need to get done, or our ideas don't come across like we wanted, when you have it in writing, it's in freaking writing. For accountability is just great. The fact that you can go back to a process or a procedure and be like, no, this is the way we do it, that is huge. And at some point it will happen to me that I will get an employee telling me, but the other day you told me this, and you can see that frustration in their faces. And I was like, yeah, I got to do my processes one day. And that was part of my dragging at some point. But when you have it in writing, it's just golden for accountability purposes.
Right. Writing, video, either one.
Yeah, just
or both.
Having
right.
a weight.
Mm-hmm.
And that the weight
Yeah.
clearly laid out.
Right. Yes. All right. Can you guys give me a story of off of that? And Julio, you just kind of did. Jared or Dale, do you have a story of where it wasn't documented and You're kicking yourself that it wasn't documented beforehand.
I would say almost every time I create one, it's like, darn it, I didn't think about that. So, I mean, anytime there's something that comes up, yeah, you're like, I wish I'd had that, some type of process there for that. But I was going to go back and say, kind of coming off what Julio said, having it documented and in writing, making sure you're directing your people back, because there's times where I'm busy, my mind's going 100 miles an hour, and somebody comes asking me something, and I'll spew something out, and it's not what it should be. Where it's like if I would have just said, kind of like my coach was like, hey, go to Trello. Instead of giving them an answer, they go look it up themselves, and they'll see exactly what the process is supposed to be. Because there's been times where I'll say something, and then a little while later, crap, that's not what I meant. But my mind's not fully thinking, and this is what came out. So yes, it is good to have it written, documented, and making sure that, and this is what I need to work on, making sure I have it in a location in Trello that they can just access, and it's there. And I've said to my guys recently, I was away on vacation last week, so I came back, debriefed with the guys on Tuesday. We had our Tuesday meeting with our advisors. How did things go? What went well? What didn't go well? What things came up that you didn't know how to handle that there wasn't a process for? And everything went. They said things went well. Now, my younger guy, he doesn't know all the process well enough, so he hasn't experienced certain things that he hasn't had to do. So he said, "Yeah, well, Dom, obviously he knows everything, so I relied on him." Okay, great, but you need to know those things too. So making sure, and that's kind of what's a question I was going to ask next. Once we have these documents and documented processes, how are you all making sure your team is following them and utilizing them? And then do you have older team members that have been with you long enough that are looking out and also correcting some of your technicians that aren't following our process? This is how we do it here. Just throwing that out there because I don't have that experience yet. So I'm just wondering.
In my case,
Dale, you want to go first? Go ahead, Julio. Go ahead, Julio. Go ahead.
In my case, I rely a lot on the managers. I would say if there's somebody that has to have buy-in with your vision and your company, it needs to be the manager, and we don't have buy-in from that person, that's probably the wrong person. So I would say that's one of their main responsibilities. And also, like you said, on your weekly meetings, like just bringing it back to everybody, understanding that we're humans, and the fact of derailing a little bit from a process is not the end of the world. Let's talk about it next week. Hey, yeah, we use the board, for example. You probably use it as a workflow tool. Just coming back and just reminding, hey, let's just go again on how we use the board. And sometimes our minds can go two ways. We can either get frustrated if something doesn't get done, and you just put it in a drawer and don't go back to it, because that frustration, it makes you feel that you're even failing. So we just don't go back to it. So just going back to the same processes, even though they sound simple, and we assume that everybody should know them, just talking about them again and again.
So that was great. So Julio, one thing I wanted to reiterate that I learned from myself, so many times, the people we hire, they're smart people, and you get frustrated because you're like, how are they not getting it? But the reality is, something I've learned through ShopFix is it doesn't matter how smart and intelligent people are. You need to repeat the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yes.
So yes, that helped me to relax and settle down and just be like, okay, this is what it is. And we're just going to literally be like my mom and dad were. They repeated themselves over and over again. So that's been helpful to me. And
I heard on a podcast from a very successful COO from a big company. They say, like, you cannot expect to say something and expect for it to just start happening.
Right.
Say it once and it happens. It just doesn't work like that.
Takes a month to form a habit. So I'm sure all of you guys use some sort of communication amongst each other. We use Slack.
I was just about to say, you're talking like Slack. Okay.
Yeah, right. We do.
We use Slack. And for us, that's been a pretty good thing. So when we're seeing a problem or something's not going right, they throw it on Slack, and everybody's got Slack on their phones, on their computers, everything. So, it's something simple as like, hey, we got one on hold. It's for you, Joe. So, boom, they're on Slack. They'll do it. Hey, your parts are here, Slack, anything. Or, hey, so-and-so isn't following the procedure. We need to talk to him and
You're
bring
slacking.
You're slacking. Yeah. So, I mean, Slack has been a big help for us too, as well. So that's one way we're trying to get it across. And I think that, writing this all down and having one place for them to go to, a friend of mine who I mentioned to Brad is a guy named Brian Caulfield. Brian owns probably 10 locations here in Cincinnati. Him and I own a buying group together. So we started a buying group here in Cincinnati. What's a buying group? Well, all these big chain stores were getting all the best deals for oil or parts or uniforms and all the above. So what we did is we started a buying group. It's an LLC, everything. We file taxes. We do the whole 9 yards. But what we did is we went into the oil company. We use Relodyne. And we said, hey, we want you to give all of our members a kickback. So they all get a kickback, and then the buying group gets a kickback. And that's how we have 3 meetings a year. We take them to a country club. I belong to one. He belongs to one. We go to different ones. We wine them and dine them. Usually have a guest speaker. So we just had a guy in that now these guys are going to be buying tools. I have a tool guy that's going to be able to sell them their tools at a decent price. And so that's one of the things that, we've also started that way is, going through a buying group. We started that. So it's something you might look into in your area too, as well as start a buying group where you get a better deal. And, we started out with like 10 shops. We just had 62 people at the meeting, 62 people. And, we pay for everything. We actually gave them money back. So they got a rebate check. We had made so much money on the rebate that we didn't want it. I mean, we didn't.
Nice.
So we handed each person a check based on their volume of oil that they sold. So, but you can do that. That's another little thing we do. I don't know if, I know you guys are part of a 20 group, but something else that my daughter does a lot of Brad knows she does a lot of my social media. But one of her main jobs is she also handwrites thank you letters to good customers. I don't know if you guys do it, but that's another one that's just amazing. I mean, we get people talk about that all the time. I got a handwritten letter. Yeah, I can't tell you the last time I got a handwritten letter. And it just makes them more loyal.
And not a printed letter that looks like it's handwritten, an actually handwritten letter. Feel free to misspell something in the meantime. Make sure that it proves that it's not AI. There it is. All right, nice.
All handwritten, has
Nice.
our logo on the back. So,
Yeah.
You got a stack of them that she does, every single day. And it's just been
Very time consuming, but high touch point and relationship oriented is, it takes us away from that transactional feel that we have. Jared, while you were saying about about how I think it was you or maybe it was Julio that was talking about they need to go to the manual. They should be going to what I heard. Let me back up. Maybe you didn't say it this way, but what I heard was they need to go to the manual before they come to me.
That's the goal. So if they're
So get a shirt that says, "Did you look on Trello?"
Correct.
Right, and that's the shirt that you wear for work every day.
Me and my wife doing our job by loading everything up onto Trello, and then if they're coming, hey, how do I do X? Did you check Trello first? No, go check there first. And if for some reason something's not there, then come to me. But that's my problem. But yes, that's
right.
The whole idea of training them to stop asking me, and then again, that's bringing me more and more out of the business, which is a good thing. Being involved the day to day.
Can you do videos on Trello?
So I believe so. I have not, but I did a video recently on how we want to do a great job here. So that's one. Yeah. I think you can, because I believe my wife.
Which is an error for sure. You can put a link on the document for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and I started a YouTube channel years ago, but I have not, because I do oil undercoating here. We have a lot of rust, and I was using that, but it was too hard. Doing the videos and upload. It's a good thing, and I think it would be we'd get a lot of success out of it, but I just need to find the time to do it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you also need to separate yourself to make that happen, which that could be a challenge since you're trying to record them actually going through their processes. You've got to be there, right? So, but I think there's a benefit to having it written first and then a video added.
Sure.
That way that way you have it, spelled out, and you could actually, interestingly enough, you could compare the two and say, oh, wait a minute, there's a miss. But you could potentially, yeah. So I think Julio's right. You could still actually have links to those videos inside of Trello or whatever platform, whether it's Way We Do or whatever platform you want to use. But and you have a public YouTube channel. I would be talking about a private YouTube channel. I would not want to publish this for general customer marketing. Right. So, and you can do that when you have that YouTube account. So, but anyway, so yeah, I think that's also interesting is that you could potentially have a grading time, like a period of the year where you say, okay, I'm going to evaluate you based on this manual that I have, and I'm going to check how well you're doing. You guys do performance appraisals every year?
Try to.
Is that part of the comparing their actions and activities and conversations to what's in the manual is part of that evaluation?
I'm not that formal, but it's a good point. It should be one of the points of a review.
Ours are very.
Okay.
We try. We used to do very formal. We've kind of pulled back a little bit with the because nobody wants to go talk to the principal, So it's like, hey, we're having a meeting today. People are like, oh man. So I've tried to do more toolbox talks and do it that way, a little bit lighter. Yes, if I need to pull somebody up and talk to them, I will. But it's not as formal. I just feel like it's harder on the technician.
Yeah,
that's just my perception.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, we've been chatting for a little over an hour now, and I don't know. I think it's been good, but I don't want to miss something that we need to relay.
I got something I wanted to speak on. I think we've all spoken about AI,
please.
And I think if anybody out there is not capitalizing on AI, they're missing the boat. And I wouldn't say that I'm not an expert at all on it, but we utilize it, and it is awesome. I mean,
how are you utilizing it?
I'm sorry.
How?
How
are you putting it into play?
A lot of my interactions. So whenever I have something, if I have to respond to a review online, I will write up I'll either write something up and put it in there to clean it up, or I will just say, hey, this is what I want. Can you? Just this morning, I needed something to talk to my guy, so I asked it to create something for me. Gave it some pointers. It created it. I asked it to tweak it some more. I liked it. I used it. But as far as creating processes and procedures, create XYZ process for me. And it comes out, it'll spit it out, and it'll ask, is this good? Do you want it refined? It is such a time saver. I mean, all the time that I've spent creating my process and procedures over the years AI would have shortened.
Wait, are you suggesting, so let's name a particular procedure. All right.
Let's see. What did I do? Well, I'm trying to think what the most recent things was I did. I'm trying to think. Okay, here's a great example for you, Brad. Just to let you guys know, so the second location I bought has two buildings across the street from each other. One is an 8-bay shop. The other one is a 12-bay shop. So when I lost my 3 guys, I closed the 8-bay down. And I've been, as I get new hires, I'm putting it into the larger shop. I need to reopen that 8-bay shop. I want to get it back producing cash flow. I'm considering, and Dale, I'd love to talk with you. I would like to do an oil change / tire shop. Still do good inspections, feed the work to the other shop, but this is something I'm doing. So I chat GPT to, hey, I want to create an automotive tire and lube shop. And I forget exactly what I asked it, but I have it on my documents here, and I printed it out, and I copy and pasted it on there. So I have it, and I will go back and revisit that when I have time, to try to dial in certain things. So that
was going to be my question, right? Was like, is it a scenario where you go into the prompt and you just say, show me the procedure for X, and then it creates. All right. And if you do that, you better be careful, because again, it's going to go out and look to all the different resources that it can possibly find, and then compile that and put it together.
You need to be specific.
And sometimes those resources are less than.
Sure.
And so you need to actually absolutely audit it, but it's a
Absolutely.
lot less time consuming
Absolutely.
than you actually writing it for yourself potentially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you could do as Julio said, which was you have a draft, and you actually described this with responding to the review. You have some basic thoughts.
Yes.
I use Windows H on my keyboard all the time. Are you familiar with that control, that keyboard shortcut? So if you're using a basic Windows machine and you have it enabled, Windows H, and then you're just speaking to your computer and it's transcribing
That's cool.
what you're saying. And a lot of times when I chat, it's all over the place. When I actually just speak, it works in a conversation, but my goodness, it's not necessarily a well-written document, right? And so, drop that into the AI and say, you've got to clean this up with the proper order. And that makes sense for the average person who is. So here's where I'm interested in hearing this industry use AI more often is I think because you can dial into personality. So I don't know if you've ever tried this, but you can actually ask the AI to write something to sound like a professional or a famous person. So if you want to laugh, all right, put in, write down this procedure, but make it sound like President Donald J. Trump. And it'll be huge, right? It'll be enormous, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, regardless of I'm not trying to speak politics. You want to do President Biden? That's fine. You can do that too, right? I mean, but you can do any famous person, and they actually try to cultivate based on some of the things that they've read on that person. My point is, you can actually use this AI. You can use AI to potentially train your front desk for your front of shop to better interface with the types of people that you have coming in. I need to write a text message. I know that this person is the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. How do I communicate to them that they need new brakes? Do it in 140 characters. Right?
Yeah.
That's if you're doing it on X, but if you keep it short is my point. You don't want to write a book. I need to send a text message to a soccer mom, and she's got 17 kids. I don't know, whatever, right? You can actually, frame it. You could actually help train your service advisors by having them see how the AI spits out the better way to an idea on how to actually interact with them. So
you guys
that's
are,
something there too.
Probably most people are familiar with Todd Hayes.
Yeah.
Everybody know Todd Hayes?
Name's familiar.
He's Auto Shop Answers or something like that. So there is a AI company out there called Rilla, Rilla. They listen to your conversations that your technician or your service advisors are having, and what it does is it advises them how to handle it better. Okay, so he's
gold coach, pretty much.
Yes, and so it uses AI, and it literally it's becoming very, very popular. My son is away at a 20 group meeting for Transformers. Have you guys heard of them? So Transformers is another 20 group, and he said there's like 5 to 10 AI companies out there right now. So he's literally talking to them right now, and that's one that came up was Rilla. And he says they're having success, and it works very well with TechMetric. So to Jared, to your point, Julio, and everybody, I mean, AI is going to really eventually, think about it, AI will probably eventually be able to write the tickets. Once you have everything in there, the can jobs and everything else, say, hey, I need to put a brake job on here. Boom, looks it up.
Every single person listening to this podcast flinched. Maybe 1 out of every 100 didn't, but every single, right? I mean, because, I don't know about boom, because again, right now the AI needs to be audited and double checked. And so those who are really heavy into using it, those are really into heavy using AI. They end up using multiple AI platforms to try to test them against each other. So I'll do some research on Grok. I'll do it on Perplexity AI. I'll use ChatGPT. I'll actually play it off of each other and see the differences in their their results.
Gotcha. I think that's great.
But I'm a geek. All right. So what else? What else can we, if someone's listening to this podcast trying to figure out where to begin, it's a matter of start with what's broken. You see an issue, start there. Another idea is just to, all right, let's start today. Let's pick a day or pick a particular day and just kind of tackle one thing at a time and do it over time. Because one thing we haven't really talked about, we all know that we've alluded to it, is how often we need to be touching this document after it's been developed. And I don't know that there is an end. There is no, okay, so Jared's shaking his no. It's never done. This is a never done document. You never actually say, here's my manual. It's here's my draft. And it's a working thing. So how often are you recommending that people are touching this, improving it, adding to it, not reviewing it? Reviewing it should be almost daily from somebody in your staff should be looking at this book daily before they look to you based on what I'm hearing. And when I say a book, whether it's a binder like Jared has, or whether it's online or a private YouTube video or Trello, whatever, they should be looking at it daily. But as far as you as the owner going through and making adjustments to it, what is your recommendation?
I would say to keep it very hand in hand with whenever you're making a change to a procedure. So
no, but I'm saying, like, how often do they review it and audit those procedures or add to it? Is it a scheduled thing or is it a because I kind of feel like if you just say, whenever you come up across that need, it will never get done.
In that case, I would say a year is probably a good cadence.
Once a year. Okay.
Just because you're looking at them.
Okay. How about you, Dale? What do you say? How often?
I would say probably every week, because when you have your company
Weekly.
meetings and you're having issues, and that's what company meetings are about, is trying to fix issues. I'd say once that company meeting is over with, you go into whatever flat platform you're using, you go into and you make adjustments at that time. That would be my suggestion,
yes.
is to try to do it every week.
Okay. So after that meeting and after that adjustment, and you go off to your own private space so that you're not constantly being interrupted because you don't yet have the shirt that says, "Did you ask Trello?" How about you, Jared? How often do you think?
I think that's open-ended. I think it really varies on your shop. Is everybody at your shop, have they been there for 5 or so years and they know your processes? So you may not be having a whole lot of issues or a lot of reviewing. Now, again, if something new comes up, yes, you need to add that. Or if I've told my guys plenty of times, hey, this is our process. If you've experienced something different, you think something's more efficient, let me know. We'll discuss that and we can make a change. But I don't have a specific time. I think it gets reviewed by me when it needs to be. When
kind of what Julio said.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I agree with Dale. Again, if you're having a meeting and there's something comes up, by all means, yes. But if the meeting goes smooth and you're like, oh, well, we have that documented, it's XYZ, I don't think it needs to be updated, just reiterated.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of curious. Will each of you go back to your team and ask how they want to see the manual going forward? Video versus Trello versus a Google Doc versus paper?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right, good. All right. Well, guys, I've enjoyed this. I'm glad for us having this conversation. We did go through a couple different rabbit holes, but I thought it was all helpful and insightful. What are your guys' takes? We're happy that we spent the time today together.
It was okay, Brad. No, it was great. I love this. And Brad, I don't know how the rest of you guys are, but every time I talk with Brad, I always come away with a great conversation. And meeting other gentlemen in the industry and ladies. Like you said, Dale, I have been helped many times over the years, and I am trying to do the same to others. Whatever I've learned, if I can help someone better their business, that's what we're here to do, right? I mean, that's what I'm here for. So great stuff.
I'm glad Brad got a hold of me and asked me to join the group. And I love doing it. I mean, if you guys were to Google me, you'll see that I did a radio show for 17 years. And
cool.
I did it every single Saturday from 4 in the afternoon till 7 at night, 3 hours. And like you, Jared, I was a technician. I worked on cars. So that's what the show was all about. So that's why I can talk. It's because I 32 years. I do have a son. My oldest son I made him take it over. So he does it every Saturday now, but he only does it for an hour. And I was live. Not a bad suggestion if you've got a radio station in your area. Once you do a radio show and you start doing it, you become the expert. It drives business like you wouldn't believe.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that radio show, you're talking to customers about what they need for their car, or are you talking to technicians about
Nope. I have
how to do certain things?
I have people call me up and they might tell me what they've got, and they say, my car won't start. Here's what it's doing. I'll try and tell them how to diagnose it. If they go to another shop and they're like, hey, I went to this shop, this is what they recommended. What do you think? Are they on the up and up? If they tell me the truth? And I'll tell you what I learned. I mean, I'm from a big family, and we were raised that you didn't lie to anybody, and you did the honest choice. And that's the tagline of our company, is the honest choice. What I did learn is, wow, do people get ripped off? Yeah. People get ripped off.
Intentionally. You think they get ripped off intentionally?
Intentionally.
Interesting.
Still happens today.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I've heard so many shops say, no, we don't diagnose over the phone, and the radio show is the exact opposite of that.
Exactly. I got so much business out of it, and I still do. I mean, I still have people come in and, go, are you Dale Donovan? I go, yep, I'm Dale Donovan. Are you the guy that does the radio? I said, well, I don't do it anymore, but my son does, but yes. So, I mean, it brings in business from all over the place. So,
very interesting. I find that fascinating. I mean, I don't know. Do people still listen to the radio? And I guess the answer is yes, but I mean, is it on Sirius? Is it on just regular AM?
Yeah, it's on a 55 KRC. If you were to Google me, you'll see I'm on iHeart. I'm on Apple. It's still
okay. There you go.
It's still podcasted, and
yes,
I do.
Okay,
it's a local radio station that I was close to. I literally just drove there, just like you look, Jared. I had everything. I had the speakers. I could do it from my condo in Florida. So I've got all the equipment to do it from. I'm close to Julio. I'm not that close. I'm in Vero Beach, so I know where he is. So Julio's in a nice area.
Yes, we are. My Boca store is in a nice area. Yeah, we have a lot of competition,
nice.
But the area is very nice.
Yes.
Nice. Good. Okay, Julio, any last words or thoughts on the topic or the podcast?
It's the first time that I've come into a podcast, so it was great. It's always good to be around people who have way more experience than me. I like that a lot. Like Dale said at the beginning, I just try to steal ideas. I'm not reinventing the wheel, so I'm just trying to hack the system by listening to savvy guys like you. So, it was great. I appreciated the invite, and it was great. I'm writing all of your phone numbers as well.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And I'm pleased to hear that. So, because I want more of that. And that's what this whole Garage Grid project and podcast is about. Helping as many shop owners as possible and grow and develop. I sometimes will open with something along the lines of, if you're trying to grow your shop, you're in the right podcast. You're listening to the right podcast. If you're just trying to say, hey, I got some money in my back pocket, I'm good to go, then you're probably go listen to a different podcast. This is not the one for you. But nonetheless, that's what we're trying to do here with the podcast, is help as many shops as possible. It's the same thing that we're trying to do with AA shop marketing, right? We're trying to help as many shops as possible, which is why if somebody wants to go to addi.me/jumpstart, addi.me/jumpstart, they would actually get to be a page where they could fill out a quick form. And my team does research on each shop before we actually give the next marketing step for them, because I don't think it's the same thing for everybody. Everyone's in a little bit of a different situation. And so what's the next? Is it really the next thing is your website? Is it really the next thing this change on your website? Is it really the next thing on this change on your Google profile? My team does that research, and then we deliver that to you. And that's actually free information. So that's addi.me/jumpstart, addi.me/jumpstart. And that's one of the ways that we're trying to help as many shops as possible. So guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of this podcast. And hopefully we'll be able to have you back on future panels and future conversations. What do you guys say? Does that sound like a plan?
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed to the Garage Grid Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get them. And I'll be talking with you soon.